After Kane confronts the circus members in episode 7, we hear Kinger bring up the first character who abstracted in the circus, Scratch, a name that causes Kane to panic and leave for some reason, which left us with the question of who Scratch even was in the first place. And it turns out we actually know a lot more about this mystery character than you might think. You see, the show's creator Gooseworks specifically told us how some of the bigger reveals in the show, obviously including the truth about Scratch, were actually being set up earlier on in previous episodes with foreshadowing. We were specifically told how in a live stream Gooseworks was a part of that she confirms that she's been subtly setting up different foreshadowing for a somehow iconic revelation and various similar things so that when the show ends it can be satisfying watching it on rewatch. Meaning that these small foreshadowing details were meant to reveal a quote, huge revelation in the show. And we know this specific revelation involves Scratch's identity because Scratch's involvement in general perfectly matches together with what Gooseworks already told us to look out for earlier on. You see, she ended up describing each and every one of the episodes in one word, leading to this new episode, episode 7, to be described as huh, and episode 8 to be described as oh. Clearly showing us how episode 7's whole purpose was to set up a huge cliffhanger of sorts, only for us to finally get all the answers in the next episode, episode 8. And seeing as the only mention of Scratch happened at the very end of the episode with no concrete answers as to who Scratch actually was, it makes perfect sense to assume Scratch's identity was what Gooseworks was setting up here as the big revelation she told us about. A big revelation that we also know had important foreshadowing details leading up to it. So, in that case, what actually were these foreshadowing details towards revealing Scratch's identity? Well, it turns out it all started with what we saw in the pilot episode. You see, when Pomni, Ragatha, and Jax walked through the main hallway for the first time, we were able to see multiple different abstracted characters. A clam, a clown, and many more that we were never given answers to in any of the other episodes. They were essentially meant to be left anonymous, except for the fact that one of them in particular actually stuck out from the rest, a character who's been overlooked. Let me introduce you to this unnamed yellow dog, a supposed abstracted circus member who strangely fits Scratch's description a lot more than you might think. For starters, even the name Scratch clearly fit together with the idea of a dog or pet in general scratching with their paws. A connection that we've already seen match up with the naming process for other abstracted circus members as well, like Queenie literally being a queen chess piece, for example. These character names are clearly set up to have something to do with their identities, and with this yellow dog being the literal only circus member from the list of abstracted ones who had the capability of scratching in the first place, it made sense why digital circus fans highlighted him as important towards finding out who Scratch was. But this yellow dog stuck out as even more important as he actually made another appearance outside of this first one from the pilot episode. It turns out back in episode 4, there ended up being a specific hot dog sign created for Spudsy's restaurant that just so happened to feature the same yellow dog from earlier, meaning this was essentially the only abstracted circus member outside of Kaufmo and Ribbit that's strangely shown up on multiple occasions. He was clearly meant to stand out from the rest of the abstracted characters for some reason, tying back to our foreshadowing element Gooseworks already told us to look out for, but how do we know for sure that this character was the same one Kinger was talking about as the first abstraction in episode 7? Well, it turns out on top of this dog character popping up multiple times throughout the show, we were also given behind the scenes information towards his importance to the show specifically. Again, highlighting how he was meant to be different than the rest of the abstracted characters for some reason. But this behind the scenes info actually started by revealing how this original hot dog poster featuring this yellow dog character was actually somewhat of a lie by Glitch, as it allegedly told us that its name was actually Dobby Dog, something that various digital circus fans used to prove his identity, as obviously if Dobby Dog was this character's name, then he couldn't be Scratch after all. But as I mentioned, we were actually told a different story by someone who had insider information from Glitch. We were told the Amazing Digital Circus episode 7 spoilers, Scratch is actually the dog, by the way, just in case anyone was wondering. which went along with physical proof for this definitively being the case after all. Here's my source for anyone wondering where this info came from. I was hesitant to share the info, but the info is already out there, so I don't think it'll change much. Leading to a particular statement Glitch doesn't really allow everyone to see that I'm not able to fully show you here. But to summarize what it essentially told us, one of the Glitch employees basically explained everything we needed to know about the yellow dog situation. We were told how fans of the Digital Circus had referred to this character as Dobby earlier on after its original appearance in the pilot episode, which led to this earlier mentioned poster Glitch made later on for episode 4. While this specific poster went along with the name fans had essentially chosen for it, we were also told officially how the dog's actual name was in fact Scratch. But on top of what we're told about Scratch, we were also given early details about episode 8 as well. Specifically, an early description of the main theme we're meant to see during the next adventure, as it turns out the theme of every single adventure was secretly teased in one of the show's earlier foreshadowing scenes. It turns out all the way back in episode 1, there was a particular part of the episode almost no one noticed where Kane perfectly predicted episode 8 specifically by teasing what we were meant to see. You see, in this first episode, Kane listed off a strange group of words to Pomni that seemed random at first, until fans realized they've actually lined up with every single episode we've seen so far. Activity and wonder matching up with the pilot episode, danger being in episode 2, horror in episode 3, pain in episode 4, suffering with Ragatha in episode 5, and agony and death in episode 6, where Pomni and Jax face their most intense moment yet, and also where losing during the episode 6 adventure would cause each of the circus members to be sent to the loser corner. And following disease in episode 7, we're now left with an insane preview into episode 8's adventure, death. Again. But how would the idea of death fit together with this next upcoming adventure? Well, we've already seen how death is exactly what we got a preview of during the ending of episode 7. You see, when the circus members went up to Kane's office, we saw Jax having strange flashbacks to something from the real world, specifically driving fast through a sort of suburban area before also driving through the woods. But how would this weird sort of flashback into Jax's past involve death? Well, it turns out Digital Circus fans were able to uncover one specific detail about this flashback that changed everything: the pedestrian running sign. This sign tells me that he accidentally ran someone over and is supposed to be in jail. Maybe he was running away, and that's how he discovered the abandoned building where he became stuck in the Digital Circus. But how do we know this for sure? Well, outside of Gooseworks already telling us that we have yet to see the worst thing Jax has ever done, we were also given more details in general towards what we were supposed to know about episode 8 before its release. And I'm able to put all these details together for you into this video right here. So for what we know about the Digital Circus, make sure to check it out.